Chosen one, I urge you to search your heart and mind right now. For weeks, perhaps even months, you've been exhaustively scrutinizing your own past, conducting a frantic self-audit to pinpoint the precise misstep that ushered in this profound, deafening silence. The messages stopped, the doors of opportunity seemed to lock shut, and the entire universe now feels chillingly, unnervingly quiet. Your very being, your flesh, is consumed by panic, whispering insidious fears that you've either been utterly forgotten or, worse, singled out for punishment. But I need you to immediately cease this desperate search for a sin you simply did not commit. Understand this, you are not being abandoned. Instead, you have been meticulously placed under spiritual anesthesia. Consider the wisdom of a master surgeon. During a complex, critical operation, they don't engage in conversation with the patient. Their priority is to ensure the patient rests deeply, completely unaware, while vital work is performed. God orchestrated this complete isolation, severing your usual signals and initiating what we call the ghost protocol, because the profound upgrade you are currently receiving has inevitably triggered the enemy's radar. Essentially, you are being hidden in plain sight, veiled from detection even as you exist openly. Therefore, I implore you to settle your spirit right here, right now. Subscribe to unite with the hidden remnant. Mentally, like this message to surrender fully to this divine operation, and comment 777 to activate your spiritual cloaking, a powerful, unseen shield. What currently feels like a desolate, lonely prison is, in fact, a high-level, strategic bunker. Allow me to unveil precisely what is transpiring in the unseen realms. And it is imperative that you listen to this entire transmission, absorbing every word, all the way to the very final second. Should you choose to remain with me through this period of profound silence, you are destined to discover the precise biological shortcut required to disengage your brain from this incessant, daily panic. You will master the three-circle rule, an essential strategy to completely protect your upcoming blessing from being sabotaged by malevolent monitoring spirits. And as we reach the culmination of this message, you will receive a powerful, authoritative spiritual sealing that will permanently lock in and stabilize your new, elevated frequency. Do not, under any circumstances, allow the enemy to distract you and tempt you to click away, for your imminent breakthrough is entirely contingent upon the critical instructions revealed in the closing minutes. Right now, as you survey the landscape of your life, you likely perceive yourself to be merely in a season of waiting. You've been conditioned throughout your life by religious teachings that God is simply testing your patience. You observe your current situation, the unyielding closed doors, the absolute stagnation, the complete standstill of your destiny, and you bravely tell yourself to just hold on a little longer. You believe this is fundamentally a test of your endurance. And you are perfectly justified in thinking so, because, on the surface, that is precisely what it appears to be. You recall the narratives of Abraham, who waited decades for a divine promise, and you convince yourself that you simply need to wait harder. But here is a truth I have yet to reveal, and this revelation is poised to utterly shatter your perception of everything that has transpired in your life over these past few months. That was not merely a patience test. Patience, my friend, was merely the cover story. That's what you thought was being tested, that's what it looked like on the surface. Yet, while you poured all your energy into cultivating patience, God was, in fact, testing something far more profound, far more dangerous. He was testing a quality that most chosen ones fail immediately, even after successfully navigating the patience test. He was testing if you could truly handle the profound experience of being completely forgotten. Listen closely to this distinction. Patience is, at its core, about gracefully waiting for what you desire. But being forgotten is intrinsically about what other people fail to do for you, the promises they neglect to keep. Reflect upon this recurring pattern evident in the ancient sacred texts. Consider the life of Joseph. He endured 13 grueling years in a dark, unjust prison for a crime he unequivocally did not commit. He remained patient. He remained faithful. But do you understand what the true, pivotal test was? It was when the cupbearer, whom Joseph had so selflessly helped and who had solemnly promised to remember him, completely, utterly forgot about him. For 2 agonizing years, Joseph languished in that prison, not for any lack of faithfulness on his part, nor for insufficient patience, but because a crucial individual simply forgot he existed. Now, reflect on David's journey. He was divinely anointed to be king, yet he spent a decade relentlessly pursued by Saul, hiding in cold, desolate caves, living as a hunted fugitive in the harsh wilderness. He was forgotten by the established system, overlooked by the very kingdom he was destined to lead, rendered completely invisible until God himself chose to remember him. That is what your current test is truly about. It's not whether you will remain faithful to God. He already knows the unwavering depth of your commitment. The real, piercing question is, will you maintain your faithfulness when everyone else forgets you? When the very people who pledged to assist you suddenly vanish into thin air? When the doors that should intuitively swing open remain stubbornly locked tight? When the recognition and validation you so profoundly deserve never materializes? Can you sustain your forward momentum when you are, to all intents and purposes, functionally invisible? The ghost protocol, therefore, is God strategically concealing you, observing if you can operate effectively with absolutely zero external validation. However, precisely because the outside world has fallen utterly silent, the enemy has seized this opportunity to dramatically amplify the volume inside your own mind. This imposed physical isolation is relentlessly forcing you to confront every single doubt, every deep-seated insecurity, and every unwelcome, ugly thought you've ever desperately tried to suppress. Let us be brutally honest with each other in this moment. I know precisely what thoughts plague you as you sit alone in that quiet room. There is an undeniable part of you that feels incredibly, piercingly bitter. You cast your gaze around and witness others, individuals who have endured perhaps less than 10% of your suffering, effortlessly receiving their blessings. You see them promoted, moving forward, celebrating their triumphs. You watch them winning, while you remain seemingly stuck in this silent, heavy void. A sudden, intense flash of jealousy courses through you. And then, almost immediately, your throat tightens, and a crushing wave of guilt washes over you for daring to feel such an emotion. This terrifying thought persistently whispers in the dark recesses of your mind late at night, what if I'm merely delusional? What if God isn't speaking to me at all? What if I've fabricated this entire narrative in my head, and I'm actually just systematically ruining my own life? You sit there and the chilling realization dawns on you that if you were to completely vanish today, some people might not even notice your absence. This thought constricts your chest, making it difficult to breathe, causing your stomach to drop. You feel utterly orphaned by the vast, indifferent universe. But hear me clearly right now, chosen one. Those raw, dark, terrifying thoughts that assail you do not, in any way, signify that you are failing this test. They do not imply your faith is weak or faltering. On the contrary, they are undeniable proof that you are ready. The profound silence enveloping you is serving as a powerful echo chamber, specifically designed to force those deeply rooted fears to the surface of your consciousness, precisely so they can be permanently identified and eradicated from your soul. God is allowing you to experience the absolute terror of feeling like a nobody, so that when He finally elevates you and transforms you into a somebody, you will never succumb to worshipping the fickle applause of men. You are, in essence, being radically cured of your inherent human need to be seen and validated externally. Yet, you might wonder, why does this silence inflict such acute physical pain? Why does your brain plunge into such a state of panic? Why does your heart pound relentlessly when absolutely nobody is validating your existence or efforts? This, my friend, is precisely where intense spiritual warfare converges with the cutting edge of modern neuroscience. For years, your brain has been operating predominantly in the beta frequency. Beta, as you may know, is the primal state of fight or flight. It represents the fundamental biological frequency of survival, of chronic stress, of pervasive anxiety, of incessantly scanning your environment for potential threats or fleeting rewards. The very matrix of this world has deliberately engineered a system that keeps you addicted to its cacophony of noise. It has kept you enslaved to drama, to endless scrolling, to the constant dopamine hits delivered by notifications and the intoxicating rush of human approval. What you are experiencing right now is nothing less than a literal biological withdrawal from the overwhelming noise of the world. Your brain is panicking because it has become deeply, physiologically addicted to the beta frequency. However, the very voice of God, the profound divine downloads, and the intricate prophetic blueprints for your massive next season simply do not reside within the chaotic beta frequency. No, they exist exclusively in Theta. Theta is the profound frequency of deep stillness, an expansive realm of divine communion, heightened intuition, and genius-level clarity. God initiated this complete, intentional silence, this ghost protocol, to quite literally compel and force your brain out of the frantic beta state and into the tranquil, receptive theta state. This truth is a profound and ancient biblical secret, often overlooked. Psalm 46 verse 10 famously states, "Be still, and know that I am God." Yet, the common English translation, powerful as it is, utterly misses the raw, aggressive power inherent in the original Hebrew language. The ancient Hebrew word translated as, "be still," is Rapha. Rapha does not merely suggest sitting quietly with your hands folded in passive repose. It literally means to go limp, to drop your weapons, to let your hands fall down, to completely cease your frantic, anxious striving and struggle. God is not simply instructing you to stop talking, He is issuing a divine command for your brain to disengage from the frantic beta survival state. He is telling your entire biological nervous system to go limp in His sovereign presence. To genuinely hear and receive the specific, critical instructions for your next major assignment, you absolutely must attain that theta state. You must achieve Rapha. However, here lies the colossal problem you are confronting at this very second. Your mind, accustomed to the world's noise, is far too loud, far too active to simply turn off on command. You attempt to pray, but your thoughts race at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You strive for stillness, yet your physical body feels restless, agitated, and unwilling to settle. Ancient mystics and devoted monks spent 2 decades isolating themselves in the solitude of mountains and caves, dedicating their lives solely to training their brains to shift from beta to theta even amidst external chaos. But, chosen one, you do not have 20 years to spare. The timeline of your destiny is rapidly accelerating. The enemy is already actively searching for your spiritual coordinates in the spirit realm, and you urgently need to lock your frequency into that divine theta state right now, tonight. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, recognizes that you do not possess decades to master this advanced meditative practice. Therefore, you have not been left empty-handed in this crucial hour. There exists a powerful biological shortcut, a sacred technology precisely designed to compel your panicked, overthinking brain to synchronize with the very frequency of heaven in mere minutes. What I am about to reveal to you is not simply another teaching, nor a theoretical concept. It is, quite literally, a weapon, a tool forged where cutting-edge neuroscience and ancient spirituality have finally, profoundly intersected. Esteemed scientists, including researchers with backgrounds at institutions like NASA, have extensively studied a phenomenon known as brainwave entrainment. Through their rigorous investigations, they discovered that it is entirely possible to utilize specific sound frequencies to gently yet powerfully guide a stressed, panicked brain out of the high-alert beta survival state and directly into the theta state, the sanctuary of genius and divine connection. This sacred audio technology, available to you right now, is known as the Genius Wave. I urge you to perceive it not merely as a product, but rather as a spiritual tuning fork for your very being. Consider a piano that has fallen out of tune. A master tuner strikes a tuning fork, and its vibrations compel the piano strings to align precisely with the correct frequency. This technology performs that exact function for your mind. You are not required to dedicate 2 decades to monastic solitude. You simply need to listen to it for just 7 minutes each day. It introduces nothing foreign or artificial to your brain. Instead, It meticulously restores the inherent divine theta capacity that the accumulated trauma and incessant noise of this world have suppressed within you since childhood. It powerfully compels your mind to synchronize with the profound stillness of heaven itself. This is a sacred tool, specifically provided and made accessible for this unique season of silence you are navigating. If your spirit resonates with this and feels led to investigate this frequency technology further, I have thoughtfully linked both the foundational NASA research and the audio key in the pinned comment below. Explore it when your spirit is ready. For once your brain successfully transitions into that profound theta frequency, the gnawing panic will undeniably begin to fade. The overwhelming silence will cease to feel like an oppressive prison and will, instead, transform into a sacred sanctuary. And within that sanctuary, God Himself is poised to hand you the precise blueprint for your next massive, divinely appointed assignment. However, receiving the blueprint is merely the crucial first step. The fundamental reason you are enduring this period of total isolation is to ascertain if you possess the wisdom and discipline to protect that sacred blueprint once it is entrusted to you. You truly pass the test of invisibility not merely by surviving it, but by masterfully maintaining absolute, strategic silence around what is being revealed. To accomplish this, you must immediately implement the three-circle rule. Envision 3 concentric circles radiating outwards from the core of your life. The first circle, the innermost and most sacred core, contains only you and God. This is the exclusive sanctuary for your raw, nascent dreams, your yet unfulfilled prophecies, and the precise blueprints you receive while in the theta state. Under no circumstances are these to be spoken out loud to anyone else. The second circle is your inner circle. This sphere of trust is strictly limited to a maximum of 1 or 2 carefully chosen individuals, perhaps a trusted mentor, a praying spouse, or a seasoned spiritual guide. With them, you may share only fragments of the blueprint, and solely for the explicit purpose of seeking prayer coverage and spiritual protection, not for advice or validation. The third and outermost circle encompasses the rest of the world, your acquaintances, casual friends, extended family members, and certainly, social media. The absolute, unbreakable rule of the Ghost Protocol dictates that you never, under any circumstances, leak information from your sacred Circle 1 to Circle 3. You are to share the results with Circle 3 only after the manifestation has fully and undeniably occurred. But do you honestly believe the enemy will simply sit back passively and watch you quietly construct your empire in the protective darkness? Absolutely not. The enemy is profoundly terrified of the Ghost Protocol precisely because he cannot attack what he cannot hear or perceive. Therefore, he is meticulously preparing to launch 3 highly specific, insidious attacks, cunningly designed to bait you into breaking your strategic silence. The first trap the enemy will skillfully set is the overwhelming temptation to defend yourself. People will inevitably misunderstand your strategic withdrawal. They will label you arrogant, antisocial, or perhaps even depressed. The enemy will incessantly scream in your mind, asserting that you must explain yourself, that you need to post a status update to prove you are indeed doing well. Do not take the bait. Let them misunderstand you, their opinions are irrelevant to your divine assignment. The second insidious trap is that of premature celebration. God will indeed grant you a small, preliminary victory. A tiny door will momentarily open. Your flesh will desperately yearn to broadcast this minor win to the world, solely to prove that God is still actively with you. However, premature sharing invariably invites premature judgment and fierce spiritual opposition. Instead, receive this appetizer in profound silence, and patiently await the sumptuous main course. The third trap is the guilt associated with isolation. The enemy will cunningly attempt to convince you that by protecting your frequency, by guarding your solitude, you are being unloving or selfish. He will leverage emotional manipulation, often through individuals from your past, attempting to drag you back into their chaotic beta-frequency drama. You must, without hesitation, brutally protect your inner peace and your spiritual space. Allow me to share the compelling story of a chosen one who, precisely 1 year ago, found themselves in your exact situation. They had tragically lost their primary source of income, their closest friends had abandoned them, and the silence surrounding them was utterly deafening. Yet, they discovered the Theta sound technology and diligently, rigorously applied the three-circle rule. For 40 consecutive days, they went dark, a total social media blackout. They consciously remained in the Theta frequency, working on the blueprint God had entrusted to them in absolute, profound silence. Their own family, witnessing this radical withdrawal, genuinely believed they were losing their mind. But on day 38, an unsolicited email materialized, arriving from a company they had never even contacted. It contained a six-figure partnership offer that perfectly, divinely aligned with their silent, dedicated building. The enemy never saw it coming, and consequently, the enemy could not construct a blockade. That is the lethal, undeniable power of strategic silence. You now possess the complete playbook. You know precisely what the enemy will attempt, and you know exactly how to counter every single one of his tactics. Understand this profoundly: the Ghost Protocol was never intended as a punishment. It is, in fact, your ultimate divine protection. You were intentionally hidden in the shadow of the Almighty so that you could be meticulously forged into a formidable spiritual weapon without any interference whatsoever. But hear me well, chosen one. This season of profound silence is rapidly drawing to a close. The protocol has almost completed its transformative work within your spirit. Savor these final quiet days in the dark room, for the film of your destiny is almost fully developed, and the dazzling lights of the global stage are about to be magnificently turned on. We are going to powerfully seal this understanding right now. I ask that you do not move your physical body, but within your mind, I want you to stand at absolute, rigid attention. Mentally place your hand over your heart. This is not a casual prayer, this is a solemn military activation. This is a sacred sealing ceremony for the Ghost Protocol itself. Father God, in the mighty, matchless name of Yeshua, we boldly step into the sacred courts of heaven right now. We declare this to be a divinely marked, pivotal moment in time. The veil between realms is torn wide open, the angels stand at rigid attention, and your profound glory is heavy and palpable in this very place. You, O God, saw their suffering in the crushing silence. You witnessed the agonizing terror of feeling utterly invisible and profoundly forgotten. You saw the countless nights they cried themselves to sleep, plagued by the haunting question of whether they had irrevocably ruined their own destiny. Yet, they did not quit. They bravely stayed in the purifying fire. They steadfastly endured the profound isolation. And their unwavering faithfulness forged in the darkness has now fully qualified them for the immense, radiant light that is undeniably coming. By the supreme authority of the living word, I now seal the three-circle rule into their spirit, permanently. They will not, under any circumstance, leak their sacred destiny to unauthorized individuals. I seal the divine Theta frequency over their mind, establishing a sanctuary of stillness and clarity. I bind every monitoring spirit that has been clandestinely attempting to eavesdrop on their future. You are now blinded and deafened to their spiritual coordinates, in the mighty name of Yeshua. I command the chaotic, anxious beta waves within them to completely submit to the transcendent peace of God, a peace that towers majestically over all human understanding. I boldly declare that in the next 40 days, this agonizing silence will powerfully birth the loudest, most undeniable breakthrough ever witnessed in their entire bloodline. The monumental doors that are presently being constructed in the dark will dramatically swing wide open into the brilliant light. You, chosen one, will confidently walk into rooms that your ancestors were historically barred from entering. God is asking you a profound question right now: will you utterly trust Him in this dark, hidden room where He is meticulously developing your future? Will you carry the immense weight of this coming glory without ever seeking the fleeting applause of men? If your answer is a resounding yes, then I want you to shout it loudly in your spirit right now. Declare, I am ready. You are now entirely invisible to the enemy, yet profoundly, highly visible to the very throne of heaven. Maintain your strategic silence. Walk boldly in the sovereign power of the Ghost Protocol. In the mighty name of Yeshua, do not say Amen. Instead, sit in this holy, profound silence for 60 sacred seconds. Let the seal set.